Jimmy's Jam Box. Keep jamming. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. We're here and we're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. Now let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's good with y'all? Bishop Brown reporting live.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what you do, give us that like Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Well, first of all, I don't use Tinder at all. I'm a married man. But I'm from Hawaii, to be exact. Okay. I'm from Wailuku, Maui. I don't know if you ever been to any of the islands.
I have not.
Gotcha. No, I haven't been back since I left. But yeah, Wailuku, Maui is where I was born. Lived out there for like a year, and then I was out on Oahu until I was about 10, something about that, 10 years old.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And what brought you all the way out here?
Well, I
guess it's super close.
Well, I was still a kid, so obviously I didn't have a say-so in it. But
I guess what brought your parents out here then?
Money, man. It's expensive to live out in Hawaii. Everything's imported, yada yada. But both of my parents at one point were working 2 jobs and shit.
Oh damn.
So it just was getting a little bit too much. Plus, we got a lot of family out here, so it just made sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I dig that. Yeah. And then what got you into music initially?
I come from a musical family, so my dad was always playing music, growing up, all different types of music, but he was really the one that pushed me, into getting music and shaped me into the artist that I am,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do you play any instruments?
I want yes and no. I don't say yes because I don't play them anymore, I can't just pick up a guitar and be like, all right, check this song out, you feel me?
Yeah.
No, I did. Before I even got into writing music and stuff, I played acoustic guitar. Okay. My uncle John taught me how to play acoustic guitar. And that's really about it. I fell in love with that. I played mad guitar for like a year and a half, 2 years straight.
I got you.
And transitioned into writing music.
So you're at least you can pick one up and do something on it.
Yeah, I should. I'll play you a quick little riff, but don't get me wrong. I'm gonna let everybody know now.
Surprise everybody!
I can't play a whole damn song.
No, I feel it. I dig that. Is your family musical? Do they do a lot of stuff?
Most definitely. My pops, he was in a hip hop group. Shout out to Jess Crew, the big group out in Hawaii that got started and. They had members from all over.
Yeah.
He did hip hop for a long time. That's how him and my mom actually met. She was in a little group as well. These girls that sang and shit. And then my papa, my dad's dad, he's a singer. And now he's what you call a born again Christian, but he's opened up for Prince. He does
damn.
Now he does he'll sing at retirement homes and shit like that. Doing Frank Sinatra, old Elvis Presley songs,
the
stuff
classics.
like that.
Yeah. I dig that. That's cool. It's interesting the spread of people who were surrounded by music growing up and people who had nothing to do with it when they were their family has nothing to do with it. So it's always kind of interesting to get that. Somebody's gonna have to put it in the comments at the end of the year. But let's get a poll going on what's what. I'm doing 1,000 science experiments. Nobody knows it yet.
All right, Bill Nye over here.
Yes, sir. Oh, well, more I guess psychology studies.
Oh,
okay.
But
sure. Now this next question, this is a fun one. This is one we ask early on, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Sheesh. You making a pothead go back into his memory bank, man. It's gonna be a long pause on here. But it's my first album I ever bought. And I know I'm thinking about it because I was born in '97, so as I started getting into the point where I was listening to music, CDs were kind of played out by that point. So I think the first album would have been something I bought on iTunes or some shit like that.
Yeah. Which is fine. That's that's a majority answer too.
You know what? I don't want to say I'm 100% sure, but I say I'm a cool 85, 90% sure that it was a Kid Cudi album.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a Kid Cudi album. And, you know, he's not like, I love Kid Cudi. He's a dope-ass artist, but he's not like somebody that like influenced my writing style per se, you know?
No, I get it.
But yeah, I definitely listened to a lot of Kid Cudi, you know, middle school, high school types of area and stuff like that. Early elementary school and stuff like that, yeah.
See, that question's always fun because it's like, nobody really takes the time to like go back and think about their first album.
I bet you there's some people though that they'll tell you right off the bat.
I mean,
you know, my brother is probably one of them. You know, he don't write music or nothing like that, but he's a big music head like me. Yeah, he'd probably tell you right off the bat.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, I've said this a few times on the show, so it's not really a secret. But my first album was the Carter One.
Facts.
Yeah.
Big.
I could still do the entire intro.
No
like
shit.
that whole first track where he's like talking about walking around the house.
You gotta make sure if you ever get to a Lil Wayne concert and he's doing that song, you gotta get up front row, try to get up there.
He'll probably never perform that song, but if I ever got the opportunity, I'd be like, I got this. Check this out.
Yeah, even if he ain't like one of the, if you up front row and you know he's doing a break in between songs, just start going off. You know,
just like, bring my own megaphone.
Like, look at this white boy. Oh shit!
I actually, one of the times after I said it, I definitely went back and just like I was like, you know what? I haven't listened to it in a little bit now. I put it on. And I realized I still know like I'm gonna say a solid 85% of the album.
A word?
Yeah, it was just ingrained in my brain.
And that's probably more than Lil Wayne remembers about it.
I mean, he's put out a lot more albums since then.
Well, I don't know.
What I mean?
I've seen interviews where he'd be talking like people will recite a bar to him, right? You know? And he'll be like, "Damn, that's dope."
Yeah,
and they'll be like, "Nigga, you wrote it," and he was like, "Oh shit, word."
Well, I mean, in all fairness, he put out a lot of songs.
Yeah, man. And he don't write his shit down either.
No, he just go for it. And yeah, I respect that. I respect that. Okay, now this next question, this kind of stays in the realm of origin story questions. What was the first show you went to that was like a show you wanted to go? You know, not one you got. I mean, it sounds like your parents would have taken you to some pretty rad ones.
Yeah.
But what was like the first one that you were like, I want to go to this, figure out a way to get to it, went and saw it?
It would. I mean, it's kind of contradicting a little bit, I guess, what you just said a bit. Because the very first show I went to was my pops. He took me to see Far Side.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's a great show.
No, I'm sorry. Not Far Side. Shout out Far Side. Slum Village. What was left of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he took me out. And MJ. Shout out MJ all day.
Oh, yeah.
He picked me and her up. We went out and saw them. Actually, I think it was in Portland or something like that. But besides that, it was my dad's own shows, because like I said, my dad made music growing up. He didn't do a whole lot of shows like he when he was younger. As I got a little bit older, but he did. Frequently we lived in Longview for a little bit, so he would do some shows out there every once in a while. But I could never go, because I was younger and shit. And then finally when I was 18 or around that age, he let me start going to stuff.
Oh hell yeah! I mean that that's a pretty solid answer. Yeah. I can't think of too many people who've been like, yeah, my parents played shows and I wanted to go to theirs as a first one. Like, that's dope. And again, I just think that the family music archetype is just such a powerful experience. It's cool it's gotten to transcend to that many layers. You know what I mean? Now, this is kind of the last one of the foundation ones, but it's a little more of a depth question.
Okay, we building bricks over here, building the whole house.
Do you remember like the moment where you like transitioned from just wanting to do music as a hobby to like wanting to do music as like a thing, or have you just always wanted to do it? I guess.
No, I'd say right after I graduated high school, and I realized I wasn't finna go play football. Because that was like my thing. Like in my family, like everyone's like, "Oh, Bishop's about to go play ball." Like obviously we wanted me to go pro. It wasn't like I was good, but we weren't like, "Yeah, if he makes it pro, okay, great." But at least I was gonna have college paid for. Whether it was D1, D2, JUCO, something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ended up that's the whole story of shoulda, coulda, woulda. But yeah, and then after that, because I was one of those people like it hit me like a brick wall. I was like, damn, like I watched all my homies on signing days, signing to schools, and coach tried to pull little strings, it didn't work out. And then I was like, damn, like I'm about to have to go find a job, yada yada. Because I've never been a lazy person. I wasn't about to just sit on my ass and just live off my parents. Like I only lived with them for about a year or two before I moved out. But yeah, that's when I started grinding harder on music, and I just fell more in love with it.
Hell yeah. I love that. All right. Now let's go ahead and dive into you as the artist.
Okay.
And we're going to get the easy one out of the way, and I feel like this is going to be a really easy one.
Yeah.
How did you pick your name?
Because it was, because it's on my birth certificate.
There you go. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about your writing process, and specifically focus on when you get inspired to, how do you start a track? Like, what are the things or like the different processes you do? And then after that, tell us about what decides a track is done.
Okay. So as I said earlier, I'm a married man. So shout out my wife, Taylor Leanne Peters Brown. We have a beautiful daughter. Shout out my daughter, Ivory Amaya Brown. So now that I have a kid, right, I'm not one of those deadbeat dads, I'm very involved, in my wife and my daughter's life. And so, when I come home from work, usually if I want to work on music, I got to play with the daughter first for a little bit, help the wife clean up a little bit, maybe help her cook a little bit, whatever, rub her feet, So that's the beginning of the process, right?
You got to be present.
Yep.
You got to be present.
But to get real, once I get into the studio, because honestly, a lot of times when I write a majority of my music driving. Okay. I don't literally write, I'll remember the shit, and then find a spot, when I park, I'll pull over, whatever. But when I'm at home, when I get my studio, obviously I smoke, so I'll roll up my weed, roll up a couple of blunts, because when you smoke one, you don't want to smoke one right after.
Like
but
Pringles.
During that, yeah, exactly. But during that process, I don't ever listen to my own music while, before I'm getting ready, right?
Yeah.
I always listen to people that inspire me, so it could always, vary. Sometimes it's not even hip hop, I could be playing some Kendrick Lamar, who's like my favorite artist, who inspires me the most, or some Andre 3000 The Game, or, I could be listening to some Patsy Cline, Diana Ross.
A little bit of Shania Twain.
Shaka Khan or something, or something, you know. But because, really, when it comes down to it, I don't really write music so much as a vibe. Like, I'm a very conscious rapper, so I'll listen to things and, where songs and artists that, are really talking, about real life shit, and you get that in hip hop, and you get that in old school country, or you get that in, 80s type of vibe music like Shaka Khan, so yeah, that's kind of the process. And then from there, writing, I'm one of those people, I thought that I was like, rare, one of the, like I was like the only person that did this, and then I've seen videos where people say that they always kind of write like this, but I'm one of those people, I guess, where I don't really, because I'm not the best freestyler, I'll say that right now, but I'll just start saying random words, jumbled words, going to the melody that don't really make sense, and then I'm like, okay, now I kind of get what, the melody of what I want to say. I just gotta make this, gibberish turn into words. Yep. But yeah, that's kind of the process. And then I just try to write as long as I can until my wife or my daughter comes in there too many times and be like, all right, motherfuckers, I'm coming out. You feel me?
Now, usually I ask this a little later on, but you've touched on it a few times. So I kind of just want to dive into this one now. As a married man, as a father, as a thriving full-time musician, it seems like you have a pretty good grasp on how to balance it. But are there, like...
You're the one that said I'm thriving.
I'm thriving. You're out here. You're doing it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You're living in the thick of it to, do things and do stuff and be productive with it. Mm-hmm. So what are some things that you do that you think help balance those things? So for other, parent musicians who are also in the kind of the same spot as you, what are some things that you do that you think help kind of keep those things floating smoothly?
But as far as just writing my music and having a family life,
yeah, how do you balance the two?
It's just kind of like second nature, man. It's kind of like breathing. It's kind of hard. It's kind of what's the word I'm trying to say? Or it's not hard to try to find balance. To do two things that you love. I guess really like that. It's just it's my family and it's my music. It's not like I'm a lawyer, a part-time lawyer, and a part-time heart surgeon. It's music and it's my family. And it's sometimes it's sometimes it's not a balance. Sometimes, it's more taking care of my family and a little bit less music. And, my wife, is a great partner. Sometimes she'll let me do a little bit more music and, she'll take care of the kid a little bit. I guess that's kind of balance. So technically, best answer, and I'll say this on camera, the best answer is my wife. She's the one that balances it for me. You feel me?
Yeah, no, I feel that. It sounds like there's a good level of communication for that then. Is that true?
Facts.
Cool. I dig that. Well, thank you for sharing that insight.
Course,
like I said, there's plenty of people who are in the same situation. I think sometimes, the recurring things even can really be helpful for just seeing it a different way.
For sure.
All right, we're going to get back into the regular questions.
All right, then.
And this next one's kind of another depth question. But out of all the songs you currently have available, which track do you think represents you best as an artist at the moment?
Represents me best as an artist. Sheesh. You asking hard questions. I got a lot of music out right now. I put 2 albums out over the last couple, over the last 9-10 months.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say what represents me, but just my favorite song right now is the song that I got called "Remain Evasive." To answer your question, though, I do have one that represents me, but it's not released. That represents me the best, but it's not released. I feel like that. The last 2 albums, I've been putting out stuff that, is appealing more to some of the younger generations and some people that like some of the more poppy stuff, radio play. But I'm working on an album right now with Mob Rule.
Shout out Mob Rule.
Shout out Mob Rule. That dude, he brings he brings a side out of me as far as writing and my love for the hip hop that I kind of abandoned for a little while because not a lot of people out here do so many conscious stuff. There are, and I vibe with a lot of them. I hang out with a lot of them, but as far as you see so much influence on social media, you hear so much things from A&R saying this is what people are looking for, right? So I try to find a happy medium between the two a lot of time. But this album that Mob Rule and I are working on, his beats are just allowing me to just go back to just being hip hop and rugged, just spitting bars. So yeah, be on the lookout for me and Mob Rule's album dropping in September on his birthday.
Hell yeah.
We'll do a little birthday album release party for that. But yeah, it's gonna be a little 8-track tape. But we got a lot to say on that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then shortly after that, everybody will get to see you on Jimmy's Jambox Presents.
Yeah, we'll be
on August 29th. Get ready for that, y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right. Actually, that ties so perfectly into our next question.
What kind of work?
Tell us either your most favorite, or if you have too many favorites, the most wild show you've ever performed at. Or if you have a story for each one, tell us both.
Wild show? Oh, so you kind of asked 2 questions. So what's the most wild show, and then what's my favorite show?
Yeah, either most favorite or wild, or if you have a story for both.
Yeah, I don't usually stick around for all the wild shit, man. Yeah, I'm a homeboy. I like to kick it at home. So, I ain't the person that just dips and thank y'all. I leave. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But
well, then tell us about your most favorite.
Most favorite show. Man, y'all gotta remember. You keep asking me questions where I just got to smoke the first blunt of the day after working. But let's see here. Let's see. Favorite show would probably be I did this one probably about 4 months ago, or maybe a little bit closer to 6 months ago. But Hooligan actually put it on.
Yeah,
shout out Hooligan Jules. He put it on at a skate park. And I believe it was the first time. Yeah, he did one recently, but this was the first time that he had ever did it.
He actually tried to get me to do interviews at the first one, and I couldn't because I was already doing interviews somewhere else.
That one was mad dope, bro. Because I don't care if I'm performing in front of 1,000 people or one person. I'll perform, but there was a good sized amount of people that showed up. There were 100 people at least, right? Maybe a little bit more at one point. But the vibes were good, the energies were good. There was one girl that kind of acted out of line, and Hooligan had to put her in check. He straight up kicked her out of the show, and she started talking wild to his mom.
Oh no!
Yeah, I don't know what she was thinking. But anyways, I gained a lot of fans on that show. A lot of like a lot of people that started following me on Instagram, coming up to me afterwards, asking where they could listen to my music, and they usually like I'm used to that happening, right? To an extent, to an extent, but not. I mean, there was like it was like everybody was, and they were doing that to everybody. It was a great show. All the performers were doing real good, and just the fans. That's why they made it such a great show. The fans, they vibed with everybody, and most of them, they were like high school kids too, and I gotta remember too, a lot of the music I'm making is for them. There's this guy I shout out. I can't remember your names. I only buy your Instagram handle, but he goes by J Can't Skate or something like that. He's like a high school kid. He came up to me after the show, asked for my socials, where he can listen to my music. And man, I've seen that man at almost every one of my shows. He popped up at the Ronald Record show.
Hell yeah.
Him and another dude I always see him with. And he was like, yeah, man, I only came out here because I heard that you were going to be on the show. And
I mean,
that shit sticks with me.
That's why I went.
Yeah. Oh, that's love. Yeah, that shit sticks with me, especially when they're, when people are younger, and, they're going to push that shit out more. They're going to show it to their friends, and it sticks with them. It's part of an experience is growing up. I'm like, that's what's cool to me, because, they're going to, 5 years from now, like, damn, that Bishop Brown song makes me think of, back in high school,
Yeah. there was, it was, I read it or heard it on something, but the premise was that, kids who are listening to music, like that's, the biggest demographic of music consumers are that like, like 17 to like 26, which I know 26 isn't really kidding.
Man, I'd
like,
even say
that like
I'd say like 11.
Oh yeah, I guess now.
Yeah, now
when I heard
you
it
got
was
all
a
these
long time
badass
ago.
little kids listening to Lil Baby.
But kids listen to it and they have the time
with their
for
mom's
it.
cards.
Yeah, I mean, should they treat like they don't treat it like trading cards, but like the experience of like finding music and sharing it is so prominent in youth. You know what I mean? Like like there's that time where you're like, let me show you this. Let me show you that. Wait, you haven't heard of this?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like there's a presence and a different level of importance at such a young age.
Yeah, I agree.
Some of us are fortunate enough not to grow out of.
Yeah,
go look. Go listen to the first 180 episodes of my show or something like that. But yeah, no, I love that. That's great. Now we're gonna go ahead and move into some hypothetical questions.
Okay.
And these are a lot of fun. Just
woulda, shoulda, coulda questions, huh?
Yeah, the more like what ifs.
What ifs?
Yeah. And this first one, it's fun. I think you're gonna like this. If you could work with any one artist that's currently alive, and if it's a member of a group or band, you have to pick one member, but who would it be and why?
Kendrick Lamar, because
just had it on
he's
lock.
the greatest of all time. And that's and that you said if I could pick one, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the only way I'd ever get a feature or a song with him is if I get on that caliber of fame, right? Obviously, or if I had the money to go ahead and pay. But I mean, bro, I did look at it like a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I was looking at like how much for features for certain people, right? Motherfucking charging like over 100,000. Some people's charging like $250,000 for 16 bars, and sometimes it's not even full 16 bars. They'll replace like 5 words with 2 or or something. It's crazy. But yeah, definitely Kendrick Lamar. He's somebody. He's my favorite artist, and he's somebody that I feel like brought hip hop back around full circle. Because I feel like for a long time he was in that 2000s era of my white T-shirt, them Franchise Boys,
that track's a
two-step
banger,
remix.
though. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, everything has its time and its place, right? But we done moved on from that. But
I'm just gonna say this since we're talking about that window of time. Air Force Ones lives in my head rent free. Like
sure
I was humming it earlier today. I just don't put in my Air Force One. I was a huge Nelly fan in high school. A
lot of them are still classic,
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm being real, as a more realistic person I want to work with in the industry who's like famous, he don't charge that much. I think it's like $10K, $15K maybe for a verse. But it's Mick Jenkins.
Okay.
You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick Jenkins, so dope. And I feel like our styles would collide nice.
I dig that. Hell yeah. And then subsequently, and this I think might be a little bit of a tougher one because I imagine you already know a lot, but who's a local artist that you're aware of but you maybe haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to work with?
Deontay Thomas.
Oh, you just have that on lock too.
Yeah. I got asked this question in a different interview not long ago, and yeah, I had that on lock too. He's somebody, man, we've never met, but the dude is a breath of fresh air for all this garbage I be hearing, bro. And I'll be, I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up tomorrow and the motherfucker is just, viral or something, like it's just a matter of one of these videos getting shared enough time by the right person or something. But yeah, he's very authentic. He's got a unique kind of style that reminds me a lot of the old school underground shit that I used to listen to, like, Tribe Called Quest and, For the Far Side, Slum Village, things like that. But obviously he's got a, more modern twist on it. But yeah, Deontay Thomas. Shout out Deontay Thomas, man. I've said it twice in 2 different interviews, man.
I was going to say, if anybody knows him, put it in the comments. Let's make it happen. Slide into some DMs. I don't know. Make it happen. Make it happen. All right. Now this next one, sky's the limits on this. Have a lot of fun with this one.
I did.
If you could perform anywhere in the world and you didn't have to worry about crowd access, power, stability for the building, it would be a guaranteed full awesome show. Where would you perform?
Like, you talking about state, venue,
anywhere in the
country?
world. In the world. Anywhere in the world. You could perform in an active volcano, you could perform in Japan, you could perform in Antarctica, maybe an active volcano would take more logistics, but
volcano.
Anywhere on the planet, where would you perform?
Probably somewhere in Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in Dubai is the most wealthiest place in the entire world. And I'm sure they have some sort of big ass, enormous, outdrawn type of, stage or something.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Dubai. Yeah, and shit. If I could perform in Dubai, that means I can afford to be out there too. So that means I'm doing something. I was doing something right.
Hell yeah. I know that's a solid answer. I love that. All right, now this last one, we're going to close up the hypothetical questions with. If you had to pick a completely different genre than any other genre you've performed ever. So if you've done a cross-genre song or anything like that, those ones are off the table. Mm-hmm. But a completely different genre, and you would be equally as proficient as you are in your current genre now. Mm-hmm. What would you pick?
R&B.
Okay.
R&B. I wish I could select, cause I can't sing, but if I could sing, bro, it'd be over. But that question, could I have both, or I'd only have one? I could be good at rapping and good at R&B, I could only have one.
I guess it's always been presented as if you had to pick the main
your
one.
own questions out now, huh?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's do
it'd be R&B, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Shit, if I could sing, that shit, I make some bangers, man, because I write a lot of singing hooks that I have my wife have to sing because she can really sing, or I'll have Saya the Kid. Shout out Saya the Kid.
Shout out Saya.
I'll have him sing, but yeah, shout out to singers, man.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we've officially reached the end of this episode. Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and tell us, any big things you have coming up, maybe at the very end of August or September and onwards?
Yeah. So actually, depending on when you're watching this, I have a show going on next week, next Saturday at Hawaiian Vapor. I do have a show, very first show, Jimmy Jamsbach Live, August 29th, I believe.
Jambox Presents, August 29th.
Jambox Presents, August 29th.
Bar.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to put on a good show. After that, I got another show with Hooligan, a house party, I believe, September 8th. And then after that, it's the Mob Rule and Bishop Brown album. I'm gonna close out the year with a real good album that you guys are gonna have on repeat to the rest of the year.
Hell yeah!
Besides that, man, you guys can find me on all platforms under my name, Bishop Brown, on Instagram at yabish33. And besides that, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in and listening.
Hell yeah. Well, funny enough, usually I ask how people can connect with you, and then I'll do a little fade out. That will have already happened by the time you watch this, but you're just on top of this, man. I love it. All right, and then before we officially close it up with the last question, any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Shout out my homegirl, MJ. Shout out my brother, Micaiah Brown. Shout out my other brother, Elijah Brown. Shout out my wife, Taylor Peters. My daughter, Ivory Brown. Shout out to Saya the Kid doing his thing. Oh, let me get one more real quick. Who I got? Shout out Nobody47. Shout out the whole Third Eye Goonies clique, all right? And let me get one more, man. Shout out my cuzzo, Denzel. Haven't seen you in a minute, man. Love you. Hope you're doing well.
Hell yeah. All right, so we're going to officially close this up, but I've still got one more question. Before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second here. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. Let's go ahead and ask this final question. What is your guilty pleasure song?
Explain. What do you
So, like, what's a song that you like? Either you put it on and, you know, not everybody's going to feel it, but you can't help but listen to it. Or like the one where you're going to play it loud in the car, but you're going to roll up the windows at stop lights, something like that. Or just, you know, just a song that's super fun. Like it doesn't have to be super serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm being honest. You ain't ever gonna catch me doing that. I don't get embarrassed. I play my music. I play the music I love. I'll play it at the same volume, whether I'm standing next to police, white people, black people, Mexican people. It don't matter. Shit, I love my music, man. Like I said, I'll play Shaka Khan one moment or the game the next moment.
Well, then, like, what's just like what's like a silly song? Like, what's like, you know, if do you listen to Weird Al at all? What's something that's like that caliber? You know what I mean?
Man. You catch me listening to all types of kid songs all the time because you got my daughter playing. You got my daughter in there.
You just in the car, just Baby Shark.
Yeah, exactly, fam. Exactly. That's how it be, man. Baby Sharking it up. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just listen to good ass artists. I guess I don't listen. I guess maybe Watsky, but that dude's Lowski's dope.
Dude, I love Watsky.
Yeah, Watsky's dope.
Yeah.
You feel me? Yeah, I guess to answer your question, if I had to give some, it'd be Watsky. But like I said, I ain't rolling up the window on that motherfucker.
No, and I, every like 4 or 5 episodes, I try to break this one down. Not so much like what's a bad song, but I said, that song where like, you know, you're just like, I don't care if not everybody loves this. I love this.
Okay. You know what? Okay, well, you know what? You ever heard that song "Cruel Summer"?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's in that Karate Kid movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cruel Summer. There you go. That 80s song.
That's a great answer.
Yep,
that's a banger.
Yeah, go look it up. Go look it up, y'all. You know, get educated. Educate yourself. All right?
Hell yeah. All right. We're going to officially wrap this up. Bishop, thank you so much
fam.
for joining us today. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. We're going to get up on out of here. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Bishop.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all. That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.